It definitely was. Most of the hearing that was here at the courthouse was spent with Siamachich speaking directly to the judge, admitting his guilt in Janae Jackson's death. But towards the end, he turned around, faced Janae Jackson's mother, her father, her family, and friends. Adrian, there are a lot of people waiting for those numbers. People were still coming up here until the very last minute, hoping to get their piece of that $425 million jackpot. A lot of people said the first thing they would do is help their family before they decided to do something maybe a little bit more charitable. Well, when I asked them what that would be, they said they would start right here in Jacksonville, helping people who need it most. Well, that's right. People who are in favor of this say hens are just like any other pet, like a dog, like a cat, and they also provide some other alternatives to store-bought eggs. Those are just some of the pluses. But opponents say a lot of people may not know just how much work actually goes into taking care of these animals, and they're afraid a lot of people may be getting in over their heads. We want to tell you about this local breaking news alert that we are following now. Police are responding to a suspicious death on Missouri Avenue. We don't know that much about it right now, but it does involve 2 young children and a shooting. So of course we're working to find out more information for you. We have a crew on the way right now. We'll bring you updates as soon as they become available. And that local breaking news this morning is coming from the northwest side of Jacksonville, where police say a shooting has left 1 teenager dead and another one fighting for her life. Channel 4's Elizabeth Campbell is at the scene right now gathering more information, and we understand another teenager was also shot. Elizabeth, right now, did any of the neighbors say they saw anything? Are there any witnesses, maybe a car or anything like that? They didn't win the top prize, but 2 Powerball tickets recently sold right here in our area are worth $1 million or more. Lottery officials say Joseph Kozlowski of Jacksonville Beach came forward to claim a $2 million prize from the August 3rd drawing. He bought his winning ticket at Terry's Country Store in Jacksonville Beach. The store gets $5,000 in commission for that ticket. There are 4 tickets sold in Florida that won prizes of $1 million in this past Wednesday's drawing. It had a top prize of $448 million. And one of those tickets was sold at the Publix on Deerwood Lake Parkway off of Southside Boulevard. The owner of that ticket hasn't come forward yet.
Gosh, we can all just dream about those tickets.
I just don't want to tell anybody.
Okay, well, let me know when you know.
The fastest runner only took 15 seconds to get the whole race done, and the winner won a brand new car.
Wow.
Can I be in it?
You're wearing some stilts this morning, too.
I know. I think I could do it. I'd be good.
I bet you could jump hurdles in those things.
I don't know about all that.
Oh,
no. Don't push it.
All right, Blake is joining us here.
I'm over here.
Blake.
I just look better. No,
no doubt about it.
So remember earlier in the show we had the taste on. They were talking about the food fest and all the food trucks. So this is like a little taste of what you can expect if you go out there. I don't know if you guys are ready. So I always talk about how I love Krispy Kreme donuts, but I don't know if I love them as like buns
donuts,
for
bacon,
a hamburger.
egg, hamburger, Krispy Kreme donut. 2,000 calories.
2,000?
No, I don't know. I'm guessing.
It's 3,000.
And then look, okay, so look at the sides. There, it looks like it's like fried mac and cheese.
Oh, wow.
This is a lot going on. Did you try some of yours, Tarek?
I did. I tried it. It was great.
Adrian, there are a lot of people waiting for those numbers. People were still coming up here until the very last minute, hoping to get their piece of that $425 million jackpot. A lot of people said the first thing they would do is help their family before they decided to do something maybe a little bit more charitable. Well, when I asked them what that would be, they said they would start right here in Jacksonville, helping people who need it most. With every ticket purchased, it was hard for these lottery hopefuls not to think about what they would do with the multi-million-dollar prize. But what if they had to use the money for good? Reginald Carswell said he'd start at home.
The north side of Jacksonville could use $425 million. That's where I'm from, and that's area I think that can be helped. There's a lot of after-school programs, anything that's going to give someone a chance to succeed in life.
Right now, the city of Jacksonville is facing a $64 million budget shortfall. The winnings would be enough to fill that shortfall 6 times over. It would also go a long way to help the city's homeless and hungry. We checked, and just about 1% of the Powerball winnings would be enough for Second Harvest of North Florida to solve hunger for all people living in their 17-county service area for a year, something James McGee said he put his winnings behind.
Give it to local churches, help out the homeless and make a difference. I need help just like everybody else needs help. So if I can share the wealth, I will.
Latif Abdullah says among the homeless, students need the most help.
There's a lot of homeless around. I saw not too long ago that there was a lot of students that are homeless, so I would help them. Just a lot of unfortunate people that don't have a lot of things that I already have.
We found out the Powerball jackpot would be enough to give more than 26,000 students a full ride to the University of North Florida. So the Powerball drawing isn't the only lottery drawing tonight. There's also the Florida lottery, but you know, that one's just $47 million. It sounds really funny to say that, but lottery officials say now that we have these big multi-million-dollar Powerball, mega ball drawings, that the smaller ones like the Florida lottery's $47 million for tonight, they just don't create the same kind of buzz and the same kind of turnout that they used to. Reporting live tonight, Kamasi Aaron, Channel 4, the local station. Well, Tom, I've been talking to the Jackson family since the accident here back in August that claimed their daughter's life, and they said it's still really hard for them to see the man who was behind the wheel. Even today, when he came to court, pleaded guilty, admitted responsibility in their daughter's death, and even turned around and apologized to them, it still wasn't any easier. When the Jackson family came to court, they expected to hear a plea from the man accused in their daughter's death, but not this.
I'm so sorry for this accident, what's happened, and I'm so sorry for Mr. Jackson family for losing her daughter, Jessie Jackson, and I take full responsibility for this accident.
The Jacksons say it's the first time the man who admitted to crashing his van through their daughter's bedroom has spoken to them since his arrest. Gerald Jackson was the first to run to his daughter's room after that crash and says seeing Siamachich is still difficult.
I couldn't look at him. I turned my head. Seeing him actually here today was definitely a hard situation for me.
Before his apology, Siamachich pleaded guilty to vehicular homicide. It carries a maximum sentence of 15 years in Florida State Prison, but state sentencing guidelines call for Siamachich to spend a minimum of 111 months or about 9 years behind bars. It's a number hard for this father to think about.
I can't comment on that.
Siamachich is set to be sentenced next month. That means this family will not have to go through a trial.
I'm just glad that we've reached this milestone, that he did plead guilty, and we're just ready to move on to the sentencing hearing.
The state asked for Siamachich to be put behind bars until then, but his attorney argued that he's not a flight risk and needed to continue treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder stemming from his time as a prisoner of war in Bosnia.
It's a very tragic case, very tragic situation, and all these facts are going to be presented to the court at the sentencing hearing.
Until then, the Jacksons will take this as a small step towards justice and healing.
I don't even know if we can ever move forward from this, but I mean, we love Janae, we will always love Janae, and it's just been real hard.
That sentencing is set for September 24th. Janae Jackson's family and friends are expected to present some pretty emotional victim impact statements. In the meantime, Siamachich is still out on bond. One thing, though, the judge added today, he will have a curfew. She suspended or revoked his driver's license, so he will not be able to drive, and he will still be wearing an ankle bracelet. Reporting live, Kamasi Aaron, Channel 4, the local station. This wasn't how Sean Stevens' brother was supposed to spend the day, grieving next to flowers and balloons, both silent reminders of the accident that took the 26-year-old's life. Thursday night, a driver in an SUV hit and killed Stevens as he rode his bike in the bike lane on A1A. Eliza Young lived near Stevens and had to break the news to her 9-year-old son, who she says Stevens treated like a little brother.
He was always going fishing, and one day he helped him make a bow and arrow and taught him how to fish. He was, he was a nice guy.
Friends say the Nice High School graduate grew up in the area. He was living with his mother and working with a local landscaper. Vito Longo says he would stop in at his shoe repair shop almost every day after work.
When he came in, he was sweating, and I know what he did is he put a good day's labor in, and I know that he earned every penny he got. And what he would do is he would just talk about that, and then he'd say, oh man, I was up at the thing, I found a new fishing hole.
Longo says Stevens loved fishing and would ride his bike all the time, often to new fishing holes and often along A1A.
But he always rode a bike, and he was always, he was one of those kind of kids that too could ride the bike and drink a soda at the same time.
A1A is a popular road for bicyclists according to Florida Highway Patrol, but they say the number of accidents is low for the amount of bike traffic. This year there has only been one other bicycle accident along A1A in Ponte Vedra Beach. it was not deadly. In 2012, there were 4 bicycle accidents in the same area, one of which resulted in a death. As FHP continues its investigation into the latest tragic accident, Sean Stevens' family and friends will try their best to move forward in the face of this sudden loss. And we did go by the family's home. As you can imagine, it's a very tough time for them right now. They said they weren't ready to speak just now. As for the woman who was behind the wheel, we're learning a little bit more about her. Her name is Sandra Schofield, and she's 50 years old. She has a history of arrests in St. Johns County, including a DUI, to which she pleaded no contest. And in 2009, she had an arrest on traffic charges and possession of marijuana. And while FHP is saying right now there's nothing to indicate that alcohol was involved in the crash that happened here yesterday, they're still waiting for test results to come back, but they say in the meantime she is cooperating with their investigation. Reporting live, Kamasi Aaron, Channel 4, the local station.
Kamasi, other bike riders and pedestrians, have they commented about this stretch of A1A?
Tom, they have, and it's been kind of mixed. I spoke with a man earlier today who says this is just, you know, okay for him to ride his bike along. It's all about having the right attitude. Another man just came by on his bike, and I asked him if he felt safe. He shook his head and said no. Another issue that people told me that they have along this part of A1A is at night, because there's not that many lights around at night, so it's pretty dangerous for a lot of people who are driving and walking, biking and walking in this area, Tom. Well, I got to cover an inspiring story in Jacksonville yesterday. A man playing the game he loved, paralyzed from the neck down. Told he wouldn't walk again, Tim Callahan has turned back to flag football and taken his story of recovery to younger players.
I had a routine play, guys, went up for the ball. Guy ended up landing on top of me. We got tangled up, landed on top of me, pushed my head into my chest, and broke my neck. And just as quickly as he broke my neck, guys, I was paralyzed from the neck down.
As he stands before Christ Church Academy Eagles football team, Tim Callahan is a picture of what is possible. After that play, doctors told him he would never play flag football again and would be a functioning quadriplegic at best. But 3 years later, he was back on the flag football field, even winning a national tournament. Now he's on the field for a different reason, inspiring others.
Showing these kids that they can go back and do something like that, whether, you know, obviously they're not going to break their neck, but if they get hurt, they can come back and do it. That's what I want them to get out of it, just to inspire them.
Callahan started the Tim Callahan Foundation to do just that. He travels to different schools in Jacksonville, sharing his story and hosting free sports camps. The Eagles will play their very first game of the season right here in just a few weeks, and both coaches and players say the lessons they learned from Tim will help them not only in that game, but for the entire season. Player James Cooksey says Callahan's story shows his heart for the game and motivated him to give 110%.
We could all translate that into the field, into the game, and just give it all we have, because he gave it all he had. And he got injured, but he's still going back out there and doing the same thing. It's a lesson head coach Courtney says his players needed to hear this season, and it's even more personal coming from Callahan. The two played flag football together before his injury, and Moore says he's glad the message is sticking with his players.
Best part about the story is my kids' reaction afterwards. They were asking me questions. That's the best reaction afterwards. That means they're taking something away from the story.
I appreciate it, guys, and good luck on your season.
Thank you.
Good?
Thank you.
All right.
Callahan says he plans to keep sharing his story, turning what could have been a tragedy on one field to a lesson of motivation, persistence, and faith on many others.
I'm definitely willing to embrace that. You know, you just take a look at him, and he looks great. How did he overcome his paralysis?
It was 3 years of hard work, he said, just doing therapy, and he said his family, his wife played a really big part in that, just the encouragement that he knew that he wanted to get back on the field. And that's what he was sharing with those students, even though they hadn't gone through anything like that. They were just like, you know, if he can do that, I can do anything out on the football field. The Columbia County Sheriff's Office, along with the High Springs Police Department, are looking for a man accused of killing 2 people at a bar early yesterday morning. Deputies responded to the Santa Fe bar on U.S. Highway 441. There they found Dennis Smith and Eric Akins dead. Police say this man, Willie Wingfield, is the person they're looking for this morning, and they say he's from the Fort White area. If you have any information on where Wingfield might be, you're urged to call Crime Stoppers. The number is on your screen. It's 386-754-7099. The State Department is reopening U.S. embassies across the Middle East this morning after fears of possible al-Qaeda attacks. The Obama administration closed 19 embassies and consulates throughout the Middle East and North Africa and issued a worldwide travel alert last week. The embassy in Yemen will still remain closed because of continued concerns. The State Department also withdrew most of its diplomatic personnel from its consulate in Pakistan, saying there was a separate credible threat. And we have a consumer alert to tell you about this morning. If it feels like you're paying more for your cable, internet, and wireless service, you're not alone. It seems like the prices just keep going up, according to a new report. Channel 4's Ashley Misham shows us how more and more people are cutting the cord to cable and using other options to watch their favorite shows.